And you mentioned Donald Trump taking advantage of real anxieties in the country, but that the anxieties are real.
Yeah.
Some of that anxiety, as you know, focuses on you, Mr. President. And I want to set aside the politicians for a moment and just talk about ordinary voters. Do you feel over 7 years that you've come to understand why it is that some ordinary people in America believe or fear that you are trying to change the country in some way that they cannot accept?
Well, look, if what you're asking me, Steve, is are there certain circumstances around being the first African-American president that might not have confronted a previous president? Absolutely. I
don't know if that's all of it, but
well, I'm sure that's not all of it.
it's not all I'm asking anyway. You can answer it any way you want.
Well, you're asking a pretty broad question. I don't know where to take it. So if you want to narrow it down, I can. If what you're suggesting is that somebody questioning whether I was born in the United States or not, how do I think about that? I would say that that's something that is actively promoted and may gain traction because of my unique demographic. I don't think that's a big stretch, but maybe you've got something else in mind. In a big country like this, there's always going to be folks who are frustrated, don't like the direction of the country, are concerned about the president. Some of them may not like my policies. Some of them may just not like how I walk or my big ears, or So I mean, there's no politician I think aspires to 100% approval ratings. If you're referring to specific strains in the Republican Party that suggest that somehow I'm different, I'm Muslim, I'm disloyal to the country, et cetera, which unfortunately is pretty far out there and gets some traction in certain pockets of the Republican Party, and that have been articulated by some of their elected officials. What I'd say there is that that's probably pretty specific to me and who I am and my background, and that in some ways I may represent change that worries them. But that's not to suggest that everybody who objects to my policies may not have perfectly good reasons for it. If you're living in a town that historically has relied on coal and you see coal jobs diminishing, you're probably going to be more susceptible to the argument that I've been wiping out the economy in your area. And it doesn't matter if I tell them actually it's probably because natural gas is a lot cheaper now, and so it doesn't play to build coal plants. If somebody tells you that this is because of Obama's war on coal, well, that's an argument that you may be sympathetic to, and that's perfectly legitimate. So, as I said, you asked a pretty open-ended question. I think you were being a little coy in how you asked it.
I'm trying to give you room to answer.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is that I think that there's always going to be every president a certain cohort that just doesn't like your policies, doesn't like your party, what have you. I think if you're talking about the specific virulence of some of the opposition directed towards me, then that may be explained by the particulars of who I am. On the other hand, I'm not unique to that. I always try to remind people that, goodness, you look at what they said about Jefferson or Lincoln or FDR. Finding reasons not to like a president, that's a well-traveled path here in this country.